tax rises and debt. They've already blown through the exceptional financial support bailout that they had last year. And obviously, the government has stepped in with fairer funding, and of course, that is welcome. But that is not even enough to fix the mess of this council's finances. An administration that can't get its accounts done on time is not an administration on top of the council's finances. When this administration is spending £30 million of taxpayers' money on debt, you close 7 libraries to save £500,000, but you're spending £30 million of debt. Imagine how much that could actually fund. Now, if you're saying that there is all this money and everything is wonderful and tickety-boo, why are you raising council tax by 5%? It is because with the London Mayor, you are addicted to fleecing the taxpayer. £100 increase on an average Band D household. And you talk about the cost of living. And we see low-income households across the borough, and particularly in Edmonton, you cut council tax support, making low-income households, particularly in Edmonton, up to over £200 a month worse off, and you've broken your manifesto promise. You talk about no cuts. Well, I'd like to draw your attention to that you're going to be cutting the council tax hardship funding by £800,000. When you were cutting council tax support, you promised that that would be stepping into support, so now you're breaking yet another promise. You're taxing residents even more. In addition to council tax, you're charging them an extra £450,000 on fees and charges, anything from civil marriage ceremonies through to deaths. You're increasing the costs of graves, memorials, funerals. There's even a green finger tax. You're nearly doubling the deposit for new allotment keepers. You're nearly doubling it. Truly, administration that's lost the plot. Yeah. But don't worry, you've frozen the beehive licence. But even your friends, the cyclists, don't escape your tax and spend strategy. Cyclists are going to be having to pay an extra 20% in parking charges. You're charging events more for application fees, so fun fairs, circuses, charity events, national events are all going to be paying even more. And even worst of all, the most vulnerable in our society, you're going to be increasing fees and charges on adult social care residents, all to raise £450,000 thanks to your mismanagement of the finances. Yet, for a third-party body, North London Waste Authority, you found an extra £1.3 million to give them, increasing by 9% this year. Talking of delivering little, Energetic, that success story that we've ploughed huge amounts of taxpayers' money into, that's ripping up roads, causing absolute traffic chaos. Well, the auditors in the report say that it's a risk about getting loan repayments back, a story of your companies. Obviously, we've had the auditors' warnings about reserves. You're barely adding to the depleted reserves that we've had. You've already used up the exceptional financial support, so usable reserves are now at £60 million. Your own figures say the minimum should be £87 million. You're £27 million below the absolute minimum, and that raises a significant risk of bankruptcy if we have unexpected surprises in terms of funding. Just moving to the people's priorities. It's buried right at the back of the budget report, but we read our reports. People's priorities. Top priorities, highways maintenance. Well, there's potholes absolutely everywhere, whilst you find money to fund more LTNs and cycle lanes. You proudly brag on social media that you're filling 10 to 12 potholes each day. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. So if you work that out.
Stop. I know it's a budget that everybody's got, but you're going to have an opportunity to speak. Please don't try and shout over, because I will stop you all, and we'll be here most of the night, even with the guillotine. Carry on, Councillor, please.
Thank you very much. So equated, that means that across the week, if you distill that down to each different ward, you're actually filling 3 potholes a week in each ward. Recycling and street cleansing, no weekly bin collections. You've axed your promise of 200 extra fly tip cameras. You've cut back street cleansing and waste enforcement, and even when you do hand out fines, you're only collecting 29% of the fines. Parks and open spaces where you want to build over the greenbelt, you submitted a local plan, includes a crematorium incinerator on a rec ground, and now you're U-turning on that. You're still looking to get rid of the A10 skate park. And I speak to many councillors who talk about the litany of different maintenance and repairs issues that are needed at our parks, and we have to constantly chase to get them done. And quite often we have to do videos to push you to take action. Community safety. Where's the 50 law enforcement team that you promised? We had 16 police officers patrolling our council estates, where you axed that promise. You replaced it with 4 private security guards. You expect residents to be grateful. You're actually charging them fees and charges on that for council tenants. You axed the trading standards team. Looking at what residents said in the consultation. So they said perceived waste or mismanagement of council spending. Money is being spent on the wrong things. Concern about council tax and charges increase. Above inflation, council tax rises and parking charge increases. Frustration with services. Council services are difficult to access, communications unclear, and feedback is not meaningfully acted upon. No wonder this council's ranked 303 out of 317 councils in this country. Concerns about financial management, perceived wasteful spending, high management costs, and a lack of focus on core services. And that's not my words, that is the residents' words of how you are performing. Now, for 16 years. Obviously, we've had the current administration for the past 4 years. So, as I've mentioned, the 50 law enforcement team that you promised in your budget has not been delivered. In your manifesto, you promised to be delivering 2 recycling sites in the borough. Well, now there is 0 council-run recycling sites in the borough. You promised cafes and toilets in every major park in the borough. You have not delivered that. You talk about how much you care about housing need. You've only delivered 300 out of the 10,000 houses at Meridian Water, not the 25-year project, the 50 to 100-year project. In your manifesto, you promised 3,500 affordable houses for all those people in dire need of affordable accommodation. Where are all those promises? You promised to keep council tax as low as possible. Another broken promise. You said in your manifesto, maintain our generous £38 million council tax support scheme benefiting 1/3 of Enfield households. A solemn promise that your residents relied on, particularly in the east of the borough, and the number 1 ward that is being impacted by that cut is in Edmonton Green, the leader's own ward. And that is the story of this Labour administration. A litany of failure, broken promises, taxes higher and more cuts. So finally, if this Labour administration is not able to deliver on the people's priorities, then rest assured an incoming Conservative administration on May the 7th will be delivering for the residents of Enfield, Southgate and Edmonton.